There's a short clip that's been making the rounds showing a CNN reporter questioning DHS official Tricia McLaughlin. And it has to do with really what is one of the core legal questions around what we've seen in Los Angeles this week. And that question is, what was the mechanism through which troops ended up in Los Angeles? Was it issued involving the governor of California, as the law requires, or was it issued only by the president? Tricia McLaughlin gives an answer.
Finally, again, Section 12406 says that orders for these purposes shall be issued through the governors of the states. Were these orders issued through Governor Gavin Newsom?
They're issued by the President of the United States, who saw that our ICE enforcement officers, that our law enforcement were being pummeled by rocks. They were being attacked, Molotov cocktails being thrown at them, American cities, Los Angeles citizens being put at risk. That's real leadership to actually put more resources on the ground to make sure that things don't spiral farther out of control and no lives are lost.
All right, Tricia McLaughlin.
Not exactly an answer other than it was Trump. Okay, so I'm going to give you my belief here is that these orders issued entirely by Trump may well violate the law. I'm not a lawyer. This is based on the lawyers I've spoken to and what they have told me in the research I've done. Let's get to the key legal question. When can a president send troops into a state? The answer isn't never. Sometimes they can. It's a common question, especially during crises. Can the president just order federal troops into any state? The answer is usually not, but there are exceptions. The main rule against using the military as a police force in the U.S. is the Posse Comitatus Act. This generally says Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Space Force can't do any civilian law enforcement within the country. You've got to keep the military separate from policing. When troops can be deployed, there are some exceptions. When troops can be deployed includes the Insurrection Act. This is the most significant exception. And it says the president can unilaterally deploy troops if a state asks for help, of course, or to enforce federal laws or rights. If there is major unrest or violence in a state that's preventing federal laws from being enforced, or if people's constitutional rights are being violated, and the state can't or won't fix it, which is not the scenario in California, in those cases, the president might act even without a state request. Historically, it's been used to enforce civil rights, like during school desegregation, protesters were going to prevent black kids from going to school, which the law said they are allowed to do. And so the federal troops were sent in. For protecting federal property, the president can use troops to protect federal buildings and land and personnel specifically. They can't go beyond that. In circumstances of natural disaster, this is under the Stafford Act, they wouldn't really be acting as police is the thing, but they can provide support, delivering supplies, offering medical aid, helping with logistics. That can be done simply at the request, at the institution of the president, but it almost always is happening at the request of a state governor. And then with the National Guard, it gets a little bit tricky. National Guard is unique because it's controlled by the state governor. Governors can deploy their state's guard for emergencies, protests, and disasters. And the Posse Comitatus Act usually does not apply in that role. However, the president can federalize National Guard units, bringing them under federal control. Once federalized, they operate like regular federal troops subject to the same rules. So those are the only exceptions. The MAGA right is arguing that a bunch of these requirements were met. They are saying ICE, which is enforcing federal law, wasn't able to do it due to the protesters. That justifies sending in the troops. Protesters were endangering federal property. That justifies sending in the troops. The National Guard is rightly federalized because of the protests. And therefore, we were justified in Trump doing what he did. That's their argument. I am not convinced at this point in time that that is true. Sending federal troops into a state is a big deal. Trump seemingly did it on a whim between golf holes. And the point of the law, the intention of the founders was keep the military out of local law enforcement, but it makes some exceptions. I do not believe the circumstances meet those exceptions. Trump believes that it does. I will leave it to you. Now, nearly a week into this thing, what do you believe about the legality of what Donald Trump did with the National Guard as well as with Marines? Let me know at info@davidpakman.com. Things are still expensive in this economy. Americans are feeling it. But one thing that doesn't have to cost a lot anymore is a quality hearing aid. Our sponsor, MD Hearing, makes high quality, easy to use, rechargeable hearing aids with exceptional sound quality that are personalized to your hearing profile. And MD Hearing just made their Neo rechargeable digital hearing aids only $297 a pair, less than 10% of the prices of typical hearing aids from brick and mortar hearing clinics. The Neo fits inside your ear. No one will even know it's there. Plus, MD Hearing just launched the Neo XS, MD Hearing's smallest hearing aid ever. I have a family friend who's been using MD Hearing for years. She loves it, loves how she can get expert advice anytime from MD Hearing's audiologist. For example, if she needs help adjusting it, MD Hearing was founded by an ENT surgeon who saw how many of his patients needed hearing aids and couldn't afford them. Terrible. He made it his mission to develop a quality hearing aid that anybody could afford. Go to shopmdhearing.com, use the code PAKMAN to get a pair of hearing aids for just $297. Plus, you'll get an extra charging case for free. The link is in the description.